Recently, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and FIBA Secretary General Andreas Zagklis held a joint press conference following the NBA Board of Governors meeting in New York and the FIBA Executive Committee meeting in Mies, Switzerland. They announced they're ready to take the next step toward establishing a new European basketball league, a collaboration between these two organizations that could potentially become the second-best basketball league in the world, after the NBA. Let's explore what led to the creation of this new league, how it would be structured, why it could mark a historic turning point, and more broadly, what impact it would have on basketball worldwide. Discussions about creating an NBA-led project in Europe began several years ago, when David Stern was the league commissioner. In 2013, Adam Silver's predecessor predicted that NBA teams would be established in Europe within 20 years. Although this new league in collaboration with FIBA is separate from the National Basketball Association, and therefore doesn't completely fulfill Stern's prediction, it's fair to say the former commissioner's vision was at least somewhat accurate, as he correctly identified Europe as the primary market for expanding the NBA's reach. Let's examine the reasons that have led to the possible creation of this new basketball league that will probably start in the 2026-27 season. On the NBA side, recent economic studies on the European market's potential have highlighted how the current capitalization by entities like Euroleague falls significantly short of its possibilities. In concrete terms, estimates gathered by analysts working for the world's most famous basketball league in the world have emphasized two key statistics. First, the presence of 270 million potential fans in Europe, an impressive figure even when compared to NBA's American fan base. Second, a growing media market worth approximately $20 billion. Silver himself confirmed this during his recent joint press conference with Zagklis, stating this: "The response we've gotten from the marketplace is very positive, whether it's from media partners, whether it's from fan research that we've done, discussions directly with FIBA, advertising agencies, and other clubs in Europe. Several of them have also been enthusiastic about the potential opportunity to better serve basketball fans in Europe. But there's a huge gap, I think, between the amount of interest in the sport and the development in terms of how we operate a league here in North America. We feel now is the time to move to the next stage." Additionally, starting from the 2025-26 season, the NBA's new TV broadcasting rights contract will take effect, valued at an estimated $76 billion. A substantial financial cushion to cover the startup costs of this new league and its potential financial losses, especially in its initial years. From the European perspective, nearly all major clubs have been operating at a constant economic loss for several years, with team owners continually injecting funds into their organizations with no return. Thanks to data collected by Sportefinanza.it, we can examine the main financial figures from recent years for the two Italian teams in the Euroleague, Olimpia Milan and Virtus Bologna. For the Armani-managed team, the net result for 2023 shows slight improvement compared to previous years, but still remains several million in the red. Even more concerning is the situation for Zanetti's club, where participation in the Euroleague since the 2022-23 season hasn't improved their financial situation but has actually deepened their net losses. This type of financial struggle is typical for many European clubs, even those that have achieved considerable success in Europe's premier basketball competition. We now know this new league will be a collaboration between the National Basketball Association and FIBA, which is entirely separated from Euroleague. Let me add some context for those unfamiliar with the dynamics between these two organizations. FIBA is the federation that manages national team competitions like the Olympics, World Cups, and continental tournaments. Additionally, it oversees national leagues where clubs compete, domestic cups, and the Basketball Champions League, Europe's third most prestigious cup competition. Euroleague, on the other hand, manages the continent's most important competition, and the Euro Cup, second in European importance only to the Euroleague itself. The relationship between these two entities is far from harmonious, which is why this new league is likely being formed alongside FIBA and in direct competition with Euroleague, which has consequently had to implement countermeasures recently. Before examining these countermeasures, it's necessary to briefly explain how Euroleague functions administratively. It currently consists of 18 teams, 12 permanent, who are shareholders of the league itself, and 6 so-called wildcards, assigned according to various criteria, including sporting results. Among the permanent participants was CSKA Moscow, temporarily excluded from Euroleague due to sanctions related to the Ukraine conflict. To strengthen its position, Paulius Motiejunas and the league he leads as CEO have made several strategic moves. First, the league renewed its agreement with IMG, a sports and media company that will serve as Euroleague's business partner for the next 10 years. This is significant because the shareholder club's licenses were set to expire at the end of the 2025-26 season, which would have left them free to leave Euroleague next year without a new agreement. However, the agreement includes a buyout clause. If all licensed Euroleague clubs decided to leave the league simultaneously, they could do so without consequences, whereas if an individual club decided to leave, they could still do so but only after paying a fine. This move has strengthened the bond between Euroleague and participating clubs, but without completely ruling out scenarios involving them in the NBA's European League. Another move by Europe's premier basketball league was to convene a meeting among shareholders, which also included FIBA representatives such as Zagklis and Jorge Garbajosa, the latter in his capacity as president of FIBA Europe. According to sources close to Basket News, during this meeting, 7 of the 13 shareholders reaffirmed their commitment to continue with Euroleague long-term. Of the 6 remaining teams, 4 are waiting to make decisions due to ongoing internal procedures, while 2, Real Madrid and Barcelona, have reportedly taken a neutral position. According to Eurohoops, the plan presented by FIBA regarding the league in collaboration with the NBA appeared vague, which is why no club is currently convinced to fully commit to it long-term. Then, people like Panathinaikos coach Ergin Ataman believe the NBA could only help on the marketing side of it, while European cornerstones like traditions and basketball culture might be threatened by an American association. At the same meeting in Barcelona, negotiations with private equity firm BC Partners were also discussed, another step toward consolidating Euroleague. However, before proceeding with acquiring a percentage of ECA equity, they want guarantees from at least 11 clubs of long-term continuation with Euroleague. Finally, the latest move favoring Euroleague strengthening has been to reinforce ties with clubs. Negotiations are underway to extend the licenses of Partizan and Crvena Zvezda, while Virtus Bologna is also in talks to continue in this league. There's also discussion of possible new entries including Hapoel Tel Aviv, Gran Canaria, Dubai, Valencia, and even potentially reintegrating Russian teams, all in favor of expanding the league to 20 teams. This opens up a possibility that some rumors had already suggested was concrete, creating entirely new teams from scratch rather than poaching them from Euroleague. Silver's plan appears to be establishing a European league encompassing all the continent's major metropolitan areas, with these new teams serving as extensions of prestigious soccer clubs. This would mean, for example, that City Football Group would have his Manchester City basketball team, while involvement in cities like Paris and Milan might come through PSG and AC Milan, rather than Paris Basketball and Olympia Milan. This approach would exclude smaller markets like Belgrade and Kaunas, despite their numerous fans who are deeply connected to basketball, more devoted to their teams than potential fans of Chelsea basketball in London could realistically be. In the Silver and Zagklis conference, they discussed a league with 16 teams participating, 12 permanent and 4 wildcards to be determined according to criteria not yet finalized. Since this league is in collaboration with FIBA, it's likely these criteria will be tied to results in competitions managed by this federation, namely national championships and Basketball Champions League, even though they don't represent the pinnacle of European basketball excellence. Teams will have an estimated initial purchase price of $500 million, with NBA team owners able to participate in partnership with the new league itself, but not in the ownership of individual clubs. Adam Silver then stated, "We are not interested in operating a league that has no system of control in terms of competition and ultimate compensation paid to the players. We have a salary system in the NBA, but because it's a revenue-sharing system with the league, even though it's a cap system, there are enormous rewards for the players. It may require a different approach than the way we can collectively bargain a salary system in the United States, but still, we would want a system where every team, regardless of the market size, is in a position to compete." This moves toward creating a system that adopts certain characteristics from the current NBA model, especially regarding competitive balance and financial sustainability. This means that some mechanisms allowing for these features will presumably be carried over to the new European League. From Silver's words, we can infer the intention to implement a salary cap system. Additionally, the NBA commissioner also mentioned how the American League's revenue-sharing system cannot be faithfully reproduced in this new European League, as it will comprise teams located in different countries, subject to widely varying tax and legal systems. However, the playing rules will follow FIBA regulations, with Silver repeatedly expressing his desire to respect European basketball traditions. Finally, let's look at the possible consequences of creating the NBA-FIBA European League. The first scenario would occur if it succeeds, with Euroleague reduced to secondary status and likely forced to negotiate with Silver and Zagklis on their terms. This would lead to a secondary consequence: the NBA establishing a monopoly over the basketball world, a scenario that certainly wouldn't benefit the sport and wouldn't push the NBA itself to improve year after year. Not to mention the impact this would have on fans, who would be forced to consume only one type of basketball product under conditions imposed by the NBA in a market without competitors. The NBA Europe League's significantly greater economic power compared to the current Euroleague would support this scenario, with the subsequent ability to secure the best players by offering better financial guarantees and giving them opportunities to be closer to the NBA world. Conversely, there are also reasons why this project might fail. First, it's not at all certain that a product primarily offered by an American league would take root in European culture. Second, as previously mentioned, there could be an issue with fan transferability from soccer to basketball. Just because PSG and Manchester City have many soccer fans doesn't mean these organizations would automatically attract basketball fans. Furthermore, this approach would exclude established European basketball powerhouses like Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, Partizan, Crvena Zvezda, Zalgiris, and others. Basketball fans of Euroleague teams might also rebel against the creation of a new league, causing significant consequences. A similar example occurred in the soccer world in 2021 with the Super League. In April of that year, 12 top European clubs decided to launch a new competition financed by JP Morgan and structured similarly to the NBA. The two main governing bodies of soccer, UEFA and FIFA, immediately decided to sanction teams that had joined this new initiative. Fans, especially those supporting English clubs, immediately demonstrated their opposition to this new league, and an entire project involving a multi-billion-euro business collapsed within just 48 hours. The possibility of a similar scenario occurring with the NBA Europe League isn't far-fetched, especially in cities with deep connections to European basketball traditions. Is there a chance this new league could become a sort of G League for European players or a preparatory league for the NBA draft? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Before I sign off, one last reminder. In the description below, you'll find a link to my Instagram profile where I post original content and break down basketball topics with an analytical approach, along with updates and opinions on topics I don't cover in videos. Thanks to everyone who decides to follow me on that platform. If you'd like to support me here on YouTube, you can leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching all the way through, and I'll see you in the next video.